So what you're saying is not true. The idea that witches are inherently evil, witchcraft is evil, um, that did not gain traction in Europe. That did not gain traction then. In fact, it was mentioned as an evil prior to Christianity. And this is under God. Now, as you can see, this is the Atlas of the Bible, and I'm going to go back to where basically Exodus. Exodus took place here, all right? And the possible and probable routes of the Exodus and wilderness journey, all right? And this is in the Old Testament, so this is prior to Christianity, okay? And it was over here. This is not Europe. This is not Europe. This is not Europe either. So when I'm discussing that in my previous video, I'm discussing it from the viewpoint of a Christian. I'm discussing it of a view from the viewpoint of God, the creator of all mankind, as you could probably infer from the video. Now, when Christianity arose in the New Testament, which is still a very, very long time ago, and particularly in the book of Acts, you can find out about sorcery and witchcraft there, and how those who followed God felt about it. And the reason they felt that about it is because who they worship, because God felt that way about it. Okay, and he had his reasons, and there are his reasons. Again, back to your point about Europe. It is also in Acts where you learn about the disciple Mark. Mark is one of the gospels, the gospel of Mark. But then also, as you go into the book of Acts, you will learn where Mark is originally from, and he is from Libya. Okay, that is not in Europe either. He was a follower of Christ. He and his family were a follower of Christ. They all renounced witchcraft. You will also see forms of idolatry in the book of Acts, to where they would create things, they would carve different things out and sell them and make people believe that this will do this for you and this will do this for you. They will make little things idols. Let me show you, such as these. These were in the Old Testament and carried on over into the New Testament. They were still creating these things. Okay, these are idols. And it's also in the book of Acts where they explain, those people who were making the idols explained that they were doing it for money, because they needed that to make money, because people would come and purchase that from them. So it was all just for money. And they were angry because I believe it was either Peter or Paul, I think it was Paul, who stated that no, these have no power, these are things. And they got upset and they wanted to kick the apostle out of the region, because he was messing up their money by telling the people, by converting the people to Christianity, and they would make no more money. As a matter of fact, it was the apostle that went, it's also an ex that traveled over to Europe. Okay, and they asked him, what type of belief is this you have? Because over in Europe, they were actually worshiping Zeus. And those Zeus and all those people that we see on the Marvel movies and stuff like that, yeah, they were worshiping Zeus and people, Thor and people like that. Okay, I'm not sure where all their idol gods were, but that's what the Europeans worshipped. It had nothing to do with Christianity. They didn't know anything. Unless that they traveled over there and learned of Jesus, the people in Europe did not know. The majority of people did not know until the apostles got over there and were spreading the gospel. That's in Acts as well. So you see, the denouncing of witchcraft happened way back in the Old Testament. Way, way, way back in the book of Exodus is where it was, I believe, first mentioned. So it had nothing to do with the rise of Christianity. It was always known. It was always known to be and evil because God said so. And he says so all the way through Revelation. Now, please don't argue with me. I'm a Christian. You would have to take up that argument with God. It's his word that I follow.